In this demo, we're going to go through a workflow of creating a D-Spec submission using a mixture of design data and field survey data. The purpose of the demonstration is to show some of the functionality in Neo that can help streamline the process of cleaning, preparing, and attributing the data. In this example, the drainage design is coming from 12D, the subdivision design is coming from LISTECH, and the survey was collected using a Leica total station. In the interest of time, we'll only include pits, pipes, and property connections in the submission. We are going to start by creating a new project based on Neo's inbuilt A-Spec 2019 template. If we go to the Layers tool, we can see that the project is pre-populated with all the layers supported by D-Spec, O-Spec, and R-Spec. Each of the layers includes the appropriate attributes, including pick lists with the allowed values. For example, if we have a look at the conduit pits layer, we can see that it has the attributes defined for D-Spec. And if we look at the material attribute, it is populated with a list of the valid material types. Before we import the drainage design data, we'll create a lookup table. The drainage design includes a lot of attributes that are not relevant for D-Spec, and a lookup table gives us a way to exclude these attributes from the import. A CSV file has already been prepared using Microsoft Excel that has two columns, one for the local name and one for the foreign name. In this case, the foreign name will be the attribute name from 12D, and the local name will be blank, which tells Neo not to import it. Now we will go to Data Import and click on 12D Archive to import the drainage design. Before we import the file, we must go into the options and select the attribute lookup table that we just created. Once that is done, we can go ahead and import the file. You can see that a series of lines and points have been imported. If we select one of the lines and go to the Attributes tool, we can see it is on the Pipes layer and already has some D-Spec attributes set, including the upstream and downstream invert levels and the diameter width. It also has a non-D-Spec attribute named Pipe Type, which we will come back to shortly. If we select one of the points, we can see that it is on the Pits layer. As with the pipe, it has some D-Spec attributes already set, in this case, length and diameter width. It also has a non-D-Spec attribute named Pit Type. We can see that at the junction of these pipes, two pits have been imported. This is due to the configuration in 12D, and we need to remove the duplicated pits. We will do this by selecting all points and then going to the Modify tool and choosing the Filter command. Looking at the model view again, we can see that the filter has removed the duplicated pits. As noted previously, the pits and pipes have a type attribute that has come from 12D. The type attribute can be used to configure further D-Spec attributes. This process can be automated using Neo's built-in query language. A script has been written in advance, as you can see here. Together with knowledge about the project, the pipe type can be used to determine the type, pipe shape, purpose, and pipe design type attributes for D-Spec. Similarly, the pit type can be used to set the construction type, lid type, and material attributes. Also in 12D, head end walls are treated as a different type of pit rather than as a distinct object. We can use the pit type attribute to move those pits to the head end walls layer and set some further attributes. To make all the relevant changes, we simply run the script. If we look at the Message tab, we can see that the script has created many attributes. Now if we examine the pipe we looked at earlier, we can see that it has an additional attribute. The same goes for the pit we examined. Now let us go ahead and import the subdivision design from LISTECH SEE. After we import the SEE file, we can see that there are lines and polygons representing the roads and the lots. If we select one of the road polygons, we can see it is on the 212 poly layer and it has a description attribute that contains the street name, Cunningham Parade. Then if we select one of the lot polygons, we can see it is on the 112 poly layer and it has a description attribute with the lot number. These layers and attributes will be used shortly to help prepare the D-Spec submission. Before we get to that though, let us first import the survey data. After importing the survey, we can see that there are some new points that represent the place where the pipe connects to the property. If we go and turn on point names, it will be easier for us to see the points. As only the property end of the pipe could be surveyed, we need to create a line to represent the property connection. To do this, we first set the active layer to the prop layer. We then go into the Create tool and select to create lines by line offset. It is then just a matter of selecting each pipe followed by the points that should have a connection to it. We can switch to 3D mode and check the result. The property connections are all higher than the drainage pipe and join up nicely. Now that we have the basic data imported and prepared, we can start the process of exporting to D-Spec. To do this, we go to Data Export and click on A-Spec. The same export is used for D-Spec, O-Spec and R-Spec. Going into the options for the A-Spec export, we can see that there are options for the version and data format. There is also one called Extended Report, which is turned off. For the first attempt at creating the D-Spec submission, we are expecting numerous issues to be found, and so we'll leave this setting off to get an overview before going into detail in later steps. We can now configure the layers and attributes from the subdivision design to create and update the D-Spec, street name, and lot number attributes. For the street name attribute, we will select the road polygon layer 212 poly and the description attribute. For the lot number attribute, we will select the lot layer 112 poly and the description attribute. We can now close the options and select the folder for the export. When the A-Spec export is performed, Neo will create and update attributes based on the geometry of the data, the configuration made in the options, and if available, default values. A summary of the number and types of attributes that were created is given in a report along with any warnings or errors. In this case, we can see a warning that the project is not set to a supported coordinate system. We can easily fix that by going to Manage and setting the coordinate system appropriately. Going back to the report, we see that easting, northing, and finished surface level attributes have been created using the geometry. The street name has been determined from the subdivision information, and various other attributes such as the location, status, photo reference, manufacturer, currency, and unit cost have been given their default values. We can see there are warnings for one pit missing mandatory attributes, including the type attribute. Also, the mandatory attribute fenced is missing for all the pits. We will fix the fenced attribute first by going to the Layer tool and selecting all points on the pits layer. We can then create a fenced attribute for all the pits in one step. Going back to the report, we can see a similar situation for the pipes and property connections. Many attributes have been created automatically. However, we can see that all 4 of our property connections are missing the mandatory attributes material, diameter width, and silk trap. Let's go and create those attributes. We will select all the lines on the prop layer and then use the multi-attribute create tool to create the attributes in one step. Now that we have fixed most of the warnings, let's run the export again, but this time with Extended Report option turned on so we can get more details on individual objects that are non-compliant. Now we can see that we have one pit, 45, that has 3 missing attributes. We can use the Find tool to select the point. When we look at its pit type attribute, we can see a strange value which was not included in the query we ran earlier. Let's go ahead and create these attributes for the pit manually. Now that all the corrections have been made, we run the A-Spec export one last time and the export completes without any warnings. The D-Spec submission is now ready. Thank you for your attention.